everybody, this is Cheri at djsundry.blogspot.com, and today I have something kind of fun that I challenge myself to do. So what you have in front of you is a sketch. I belong to a Facebook group called Crafty Creations, and this was a sketch that they put on their site for a sketch challenge. Now this is a scrapbook sketch, and it's a 12 by 12 sketch, and it just didn't translate well when I printed it in 8.5 by 11, but you kind of get the idea of what it was supposed to look like. Now, as you know, I'm not a scrapbooker right now. I just don't have time to do that, but I really like the sketch, so I thought, can I play with the sizes and make a card front from this sketch? So this is what I did. This is the original sketch, and I took the sketch and I changed it to fit a card. So on the sketch, you'll see that this big box was supposed to be a 6 by 4 inch box. I changed the proportion to make it a 3 by 2 inch box. It doesn't give the size of the circle up here in the corner, but I decided a 1 3/8 circle would work. It doesn't give the size of the banners, and I didn't measure them out, but I decided that I would do 3/8 inch wide banner pieces. And then on the side here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places to put 3 by 3 photos. Well, obviously I'm not going to put photos there, so I just drew out 1 inch squares, 5 1 inch squares. Then on the original, it says title goes here, and that's where I decided to put my sentiment. So let's get started and make the card using this sketch. This sketch to this sketch. Now we're going to translate it into a card. So what I did is I pulled out some Coordinations cardstock. This is a standard A2 size card. When you open it up, it's going to open this way. And I've already put just a piece of white cardstock on the inside so that I'll be able to write my message. So I've got that set there, and of course we'll finish it off a little bit more than that, but I'm going to do the outside. Now I'm not going to show you all of the supplies that I used. I'll mention them as we're putting the card together, and I'll list them on the blog, but I just want to, I'll mention what we're using as we go. So I have another piece of cardstock here, and this is just plain, I was going to say it's Georgia Pacific cardstock, but I think it's just a scrap from my stash. It's probably Georgia Pacific, and that's going to be my base. But I've already done the other put together. I took another piece of the gray, or I took a part of the piece that was the other half of the sheet of paper, and I used the upper crest border punch from Fiskars, and I cut a border. In the original sketch, I don't know if you noticed or not, but it has a kind of a border running across, which is probably the paper. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is I'm leaving this little thing off for the date. I thought about putting the birthday person, how old they were on there, and then I decided, no, I really didn't want to do that. Then I also thought about putting 2013 on, and I thought, no, I'm just going to leave it. It makes the card front just a little bit busy to do that. So, like I said, I've got the white Georgia Pacific or whatever from my stash card paper here. And I'm just going to center that. Now, I cut this about 1/8 of an inch shy. So, it would be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And I cut that size so that you would just barely have a little bit of the gray around the edge, about 1/16 of an inch. Now there's a reason I don't do that often. The reason being is it's kind of hard to get it straight and it's more noticeable. But now you'll see that I've got a little bit of excess glue up here, and that's because I miscut it the first time and I already glued down the border. It's okay because most of that will be covered up. So now, going back to our sketch, the next thing that we would do would be put our squares. So I'm going to pull out some pieces over here. This is just a card I have, and there's extra things here that we won't use, but I wanted them just to have. So let's kind of separate these out. So I've got my squares here. I've got this one and this one. These squares I cut from the Trade Winds Matte Stack from Die Cuts with a View. Just thought it was a really pretty matte stack, and I thought it would look really nice with this card. So I'm going to go ahead and start by adhering each of those squares down. I kind of thought about it, which was the best way to do this, and I hope that I'm making, we'll see, we'll make sure that this is about right. Now obviously they're going to fit together more here. I almost could put another one there, and that would probably look really nice as well. And who knows, maybe when I'm all done we may decide we want it, the extra one. Even though the original sketch only had the 5, you have to remember that I'm altering that sketch to fit my card front, so it may look better with the 4. However, if we stick with the 5, remember we're going to be using our rule of 3s in a little bit different way, because we'll have 3 and then 3, but then we still have that odd number. So it's an odd number, but it's an odd number of 3. So there we've got our bottom 3. Now let's go to the next one. I really like this matte stack paper. It's kind of a chevron piece. You lose a bit of the chevron in the way that the 1-inch square cut, but it still gives that stripe kind of, oh, shall I say, kind of modern, I guess, look to it. Okay, my last one here, and I'm just eyeballing these. You could measure it, and I probably should have eyeballed them a little bit more closely, but I think we'll be okay. So there is the first set of squares. Now the next thing that I wanted to do is I want to go ahead and put my sentiment. And the reason I wanted to do that is because I'm afraid if I don't, I'm not going to leave enough room for it. So I have this, it says happy birthday, and I'm going to take this close to my heart. This is the Outdoor Denim ink, and I'm going to ink that up. Now this happy birthday is from Stampendous Happy Messages. I'm going to ink that up, and it's going to kind of go into my squares, but there's going to be enough of a contrast. I think it's still going to look really nice. I was kind of, the other one I had for birthday, I didn't really like the way it was going to look. It was a little bit too plain, and I felt like the card needed a little bit more frill to it. So there we've got the happy birthday. And so now we can start putting together the rest of the card. So I put together the banners. I've cut the banners. Now this one should go right about here. But the first thing that I need to do is my circle. So I took my circle punch, and this is also from the Trade Wind stack. All of the printed paper is from the Trade Wind stack. But I cut my circle using my circle punch, and it's a 1 3/8 inch punch, and that one is going to go up in the corner, kind of just filling up that whole corner space to the edge, just like that. And then I can start laying everything else out. Now I want to lay them all out before I adhere them, so that I make sure that I have plenty of room but don't leave too much room. Now these I just kind of cut random. The longest one I cut because in the original sketch it goes clear over to this square. And then the others I just cut short because they'll be hidden under. And these are kind of at various lengths away from the box, the 2 by 3 inch box. Again, the same paper, we're keeping the same theme throughout. I'm kind of just going there. So that's pretty close to how I want them, so I'm going to start adhering them down. We'll start with the bottom one first. Because that's kind of my anchoring piece, and you'll see how that they all frame the sentiment quite nicely. by doing this. It just brings the eye down to the sentiment. And I'm not kidding, this is a busy card, but I quite like the way that it turned out by doing it this way. Sometimes it's fun to challenge yourself to do something totally different. And for me, it was turning this sketch that I really liked into something that would suit what I do. And so that's kind of just a fun thing to do. And you should challenge yourself. Think outside of the box that way. Or find inspiration in something outside, something every day. Now, I debated about not using this particular paper on top of the other because you kind of lose it a little bit. But I decided that it looked okay. It still kind of blends a bit. There. Kind of just mismatched the banners to be different sizes. Now for the final piece, instead of doing a straight 3 by 2 inch box, which proportion wise was the size at work, you'll notice that in the corner here they put a photo corner because this was supposed to be kind of that anchoring photo for the scrapbook page. But instead I fussy cut a piece from the mat stack that had a butterfly in it, and it's just going to go right like that. You kind of lose the green in the butterfly. I'm kind of surprised they put green in there. I'm not sure why, when that particular set of papers was more blue, but it was kind of maybe just a contrast. So I want to bring that down on the sketch, and I want to bring this over enough, well, two things. First of all, I want it to cover that dark spot, but I also want to bring it down so that it's kind of covering the edge there, just like that. This is this paper from Coordinations is kind of a thin paper, which is another reason I like to have lots of layers, because it needs that to give it the sturdiness and the niceness. So there we have the outside of the card. Now let's move to the inside. Set my ATG gun aside. I took my Martha Stewart punch, and this is the Martha Stewart punch that has the little butterflies. And I wanted to use the same paper on the inside as on the out, but I wanted to have plenty of room to write a message to the recipient of the card, and I wanted to tie the butterfly back from the outside into the inside while tying the papers in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of play with this just a little bit. Now I'm not putting any dimension here because I want it to be flat on the inside, obviously. Let's see, we want this one maybe, and this one. We could even go all the, let's see, let's not go with that one, let's go with this one. Kind of make a butterfly fall. That one, maybe that one. I don't think I want the bigger gray butterfly. It's kind of bland. I could sparkle it up with some stickles, but I think I'll just leave it like I have it. And this creates just kind of a fall going down, just like that. Now I'm not going to do that on camera because that'll take a minute. I'll just go back and I'll use my Tombow Mono to do that. That kind of hides the flaws and imperfections that were in that paper, and kind of finishes it off. So I'll show that in the photograph at the beginning or at the end of the video. So now we have, this is my finished card from this sketch that I hand drew based on this sketch and from SBC Scrapbook Challenges. So thanks so much for stopping by today. Remember, take some time to enjoy the little things and stretch yourself a bit. See what fun you can have by altering something to suit your needs. Have a great day. Bye.